Interesting topic. Is it more units that's the problem that's going in, or is it more cars? Let's talk about it today.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael Bergio, Mark Novak. More cars, more problems, more property, more problems. What's brought this on this morning is I find, especially when we're talking about a new development coming to market, one of the biggest pushback or trolls online is there's already too much, like traffic's too bad, too many units, this is terrible. Basically don't build the building. And it sort of gets us thinking, Mark, going, well, because at first I remember a lot of people were complaining about Meriton. And then when I actually spoke to a few people going, what, do you not like Meriton? Do you not did they remove one of your favorite businesses from where the development is going to be built? Why are you against it? And they're like, traffic is the worst. I don't want traffic to get even worse. So I sort of found that a lot of the negativity around a development really has not much to do with the actual development. It's more people's conceived issues that will come from it. And the big one that keeps coming up is traffic and congestion. So Mark, do you think it's more units or more cars the problem?
You know what? I think that people have to look at what's changed every 10 years. To use a simple suburb like DY and look at how that's actually manifested, how that's changed over a period of 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, there, Mark. All right, so Mark's just sort of cut in and out, but where he was going was if we look at a suburb like DY and the change. Now, DY for the past 30, 40 years has had approximately about 8,500 units.
The fundamental change.
Mark, we missed everything. So do you want to sort of...
You there? Hello. But just putting aside... You got me back?
Yep, you're back.
Sorry, Matt. But putting aside the fact of actually dropping more units into the grid, the byproduct of that, there really isn't much more of a byproduct that people are against. There's visual impact, but everything else is pretty interesting. But cars is the problem. And that's not even because of new development. So, Michael, how many units were in DY sort of 40, 30, 20 years ago?
About that sort of 8,500 units, and there's about an extra 500 homes. And or
now
maybe
we're sitting 9,000
total. And 9,000, and then now there's 12,000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 12,000 properties, including units in DY. So over 40 years, There's been a 5% increase, 4% increase, which is not a lot. But I'll tell you what has been.
Units.
Yeah. So I reckon on units it's gone from 8,000 to 10,000 over 40 years, not including houses.
All right. So we look at that number, right? But what's the change of ownership? What's the amount of cars per household for those 8,000 or those 10,000 homes?
I'm glad you asked. I found this graph, which isn't perfect. It goes to 2015, but it sort of gets the message across of what we're talking about. If, let's say, DY traffic has become really shit in the past 10 years and there hasn't been a big increase in development, well, what else has? Car usage. Mark, you said it perfectly off air before. 1930s and 40s, you'd be lucky to be driving or have one car. With a group, same with sort of the 50s And then it wasn't until maybe like the 60s, almost like every household had one car in the 60s, 70s. And then probably up until 95, 2000, it was almost like two cars, everyone, husband and wife. And then now, with a lot of kids living in home longer, we're having 3, 4, 5 cars a household now. So that's what you can see in the graph, just a huge upshot in car usage. So it sort of makes me think, Mark, are units the problem or car? How society has changed with how we use cars and how much we depend on them.
I feel like hippies use cars as the scapegoat excuse, and traffic as a scapegoat excuse for development. I think the real issue is that there's absolutely no regulation on how many cars a household can have. I don't think there should be either, but I think a bit of acknowledgement around that is pretty bloody important to say, guys, your issue is actually much bigger than putting a unit block in your area, or building out an area. Your issue is your roads just being absolutely choked up by 2, 3, 4 cars to a household.
It's a good point. Like people on a road 10 years ago or 20 years ago average, say 25,000 cars per day going down. Now it's up to 60, 70,000. And so you look at that increase is far superior than population growth and unit density growth as well. So I think you're right. I think people need to really look at the numbers, which is hard because they're not easy to get. But it's to really have a look in the mirror and go, well, yeah, our household, like my household, we've got 5 cars. That no one would have had that 40 years ago. So
one or two. But is the push towards public transport the answer? Particularly, like, I think if you got trains, yes, that's very efficient. If you got buses, yes, there's an efficiency there. But at the end of the day, people aren't really going to flock to public transport over being able to drive. There's that comfort. You can have one-on-one conversations on a phone while you're driving. It's different, than being in a bus or something like that. But, another really interesting one is, and guys, keep an eye out for this, and it probably may sound a little bit sci-fi, but the fact that you can actually sit, yeah, almost. The fact that you'll be able to send your car out to work for you while you're at work will take a lot of cars off the road. So a lot of people may not know, but for instance, like these Teslas that are coming out at the moment, the last 3 years, I think 4 years of Teslas coming out, they've got the ability to be completely self-automated. They don't have the legislation for it though. All right, so the equipment is on board for self-automation. It's just a matter of them activating it. Now, what that also means is self-automation, and is not far off driverless cars. And driverless cars is pretty interesting because that could take that could really empty our roads out a lot. Whereas one family could genuinely have a workhorse car that just gets the, while you're not using it, other family members are using it, and it's taking itself to and from other family members, or it could be doing members of the public, paying for the service, driving them without them even touching the steering wheel. So it could change. It could change very quickly over the next 5 or 10 years, but at the moment, that's our problem.
Yeah, exciting times, and thank everyone for watching. We'll be breakfast at Novak at 8:30, and then Monday morning we'll be back for Morning Minutes. Thank you, everyone.
See you later. Have a great weekend. Interesting one, huh? See ya. Bye.